Hi everyone. I was recently at a flex activity for advising, and for some reason, I was told that the things I do in my class are actually a form of advising and that it might be valuable for other people. So I'll just have to take their word for it. And um, and plus, they said if I did a short video, I would get flex credit. Oh boy! So here we are. Um, so. I'm just going to run through the things that normal sort of advising I do with my students in terms of what to do after Chafee, and then go into the things that I do in class. I'll talk about that in a second. So the first thing in terms of students going on after Chafee, if they want to major in art or ceramics or whatever, besides the normal schools that are known for that, um, I tell them that the more expensive the school, the more money they have to give away. And in general, that's very true. Um, it's not a set in stone, and you can actually play schools off each other. For instance, my son went to UCLA. He got a scholarship, and he also got into Carnegie Mellon, and which is a price tag like 60 grand a year. And we called up Carnegie because he was interested in that school and said, "Hey, he got this offer at UCLA. Can you match that?" And the next day, Carnegie called back and said, "Yes, we can." So there's actually quite a bit of flexibility in the price tag. And of course, if there's not, stay away from it. But I don't follow the dictate that one should stay away from private schools or the more pricey schools or the more well known ones. One thing about the schools is that if they don't offer a good scholarship, of course, don't go there, even if it's a good name, because oftentimes these places will offer scholarships to the students that they really want to have there, and they'll make everybody else pay through the nose, and that's you want to go someplace where you're wanted. Anyway, in regards to my class, I have things sort of built in, and I bet you all do too. I think that different fields have different ways of advising, sort of built in, almost like a Trojan horse into the course. So I'm just going to run through a few things that we do in class that I think actually extend beyond class, and is almost a form of advising. One of the first projects I have them do is just a warm up project. And in this project, they can make whatever they want. And I don't give them any instruction other than how to make something that doesn't blow up in the kiln. But they can do anything. They can make their hearts and you know, uh, girlfriends, boyfriends, sports names. They can make a character from their favorite video game. They can make something kitschy. I know, really funny and whatever. They can make something realistic. They can make it abstract. They can do whatever they want, and they can take it seriously or make something fun. And then we do a critique, and in the critique, it's not about, oh, this is good craftsmanship, and oh, you must have spent a lot of time. Although I want them to spend time on it. It's not that kind of critique at all. It's actually pointing out to the fact that they're following some kind of strategy. You're never just making something out of thin air. You're always following something. You are trying to make it look real, or you are trying to make it look abstract, or you are doing a diorama, or you're doing a narrative, um, or the work is maybe related to science somehow, or maybe it's just funny, like a joke, or it's about yourself, sort of biographical, or it's about symbols and signage. There's always a strategy, and these strategies are all actually kind of well worn. Doesn't mean, oh, it's already been done, don't do it. It just means that you're going into something and you're following a strategy. And I bet you that happens in writing, and I bet it happens in everything. And the sooner you can find out what the strategy you're using and doing, and that you kind of feel comfortable with actually, or that you're drawn to, the deeper you can go into it. So if I am going for just good craftsmanship and looking to make something look real, I really go there. If I don't know what my strategy is, what I'll do is I'll just switch horses in midstream, and I end up with something sort of hodgepodgey, little of this, a little bit of that, or censorship, and you start all over. I don't let them start over. I said, just go for it. And so anyway, but the whole idea is that you're always following something, and the sooner you find that out, the deeper you can go. Now, another one of the first things I do in classes is have them break up into four groups and brainstorm and present to the class. Brainstorm how to brainstorm how to come up with ideas, brainstorm how to problem solve, and all the different kinds of steps and preparations and research and all that goes into that. There are good ways of coming up with ideas and solving problems, and not so good ideas for coming up with ideas and solving problems. And it's very interesting because a lot of times I think we have to, like, the whole semester they have to come up with ideas. We have all these projects, and they have to write papers for other classes. They have to come up with an idea, and oftentimes it's a very quick, not thought out process. It just, it's blah, I got to get it done, and not spend time with it. And what's sort of interesting is that a lot of times people find that we do our research, we do our thought bubbles, or the Venn diagrams and all these things, all these tricks for coming up with ideas. But then we kind of let go of it, and we go for a walk, or we listen to music. Maybe we go drink a beer, we go talk with friends, we play a video game, something that turn the mind off, and all of a sudden, boom, solutions and ideas come to you. So it's kind of an interesting, it's almost more that ideas happen and they kind of jump out of sort of a flow state than from something you work on and try to, make happen. So that's actually a very good thing to know. I have a project where, let's see. Oh, yeah, a couple things. I'll start with this one. I have a project, a 3D design project, where they have to make something, where the 3D design element is how to make something look interesting, period. And it turns out there's a lot of rules to it, but they all fall under dynamism. So imagine a football player being tackled or diving for a catch, as opposed to a picture of a football team sitting in the bleachers for a group picture. Well, the diving for the catch is a whole lot more interesting. It's objects in the act of falling. There's a dynamism happening, and then we unpack that dynamism. And like maybe right now I'm right here. Maybe that's a little bit more interesting. It's a little bit off to the side. It's not right in the center. It's maybe a little less boring. So it's learning kind of here. I won't upset you. It's learning of these principles of how to make something kind of stand out. How do you can extrapolate, like, how do I make this paper interesting or a little bit off that it just stands out a little bit more? Or how do I make present myself so I stand out more if I'm interviewing for a job or whatever? So it's really kind of an interesting way of almost like tricks to make other people notice. One thing that I deal with in beginning ceramics, and this happens all semester, but I really harp on this, and this is really an important thing for everybody throughout life, is that I tell them if what they're working on doesn't look interesting, it only means they haven't spent enough time on it, period. And if they do spend more time, the tendency is, oh no, I'm done. It looks ugly. I'm done. I did it. So, they kind of reject it, abandon it midstream, because they don't have confidence yet. But if they keep working on it, what happens is they kind of get over a hump. They might get a little bit tired and sleepy and resistant, and they want to leave the room and go buy a soda or something. But if they can stay with it and just keep going, and all of a sudden at some point it will start looking interesting. And I really harp on that, and it happens. I mean, everybody starts making actually pretty cool work, and what happens is they start getting confidence. They see, oh, this does look pretty interesting, and maybe I can do this. So they get the sort of confidence that they make it over that hump, and they're with each other in a group, so they have the group helping each other, stay with it. Plus, they see each other's work getting better and better and more interesting, and like, oh, and sort of like a group, we lift each other up. But anyway, this whole idea is that if that we abandon things quickly, and if you stay with something longer, it starts to pay off. Yeah. Another thing that's interesting in an art class, I assume that most art classes are run this way, is that you get either on Canvas and through Harmonize, or in person, even better, you get to see everybody's work. So it's what's interesting about that. I'm just talking about this as a more of an in-class helpful thing, is if everybody sees each other's work, the course becomes kind of, and the individual projects become kind of like self-grading. Like someone goes, oh, ooh, that's what an A looks like. And they kind of see theirs in relation to this other work, or, this is like, oh, this person didn't spend that much time. I see that. And it's like, I've hardly ever had anybody complain about a grade, because it's just so kind of like obvious when you see things together, and you know the criteria for the project that's clearly stated, and you see how people meet that criteria, and you see the amount of time put into it. You can see it, and so it's a nice sort of like I say, sort of self grading. I think the only problem I've ever had complaint about a grade was a guy was unhappy that his grade was lower than his girlfriend's, even though he realized that most of her work was better than his. That's a whole other issue. Anyway, yeah. Okay. I think also, let's see, am I forgetting anything here? Yeah. I think finally the thing that I really talk a lot about in is a clay class where really, people aren't used to using their hands, so they're really learning how to get confidence using their hands again instead of this, like that. Is that it's a visual art. So I really talk a lot about seeing. And this is a pretty interesting subject, and this kind of hits everybody where they live, is how you see. It's like, and how you sense the world, really. It's um, how rich things are for you. So this goes way beyond the classroom and goes more towards, well, let me just say what this is, so that go into this and you can kind of suss out whether it's significant or not. Because of language and the way we're taught, everything is a noun. Here's my shirt, and here's my computer, and here's a table, and here's me, and there's these nouns. They are discrete, knowable, unchanging for the most part objects. And what happens with that kind of orientation, where everything is a noun, everything is pretty much known, it's mapped out, it has a name for it and a label, is that the map becomes the terrain. And what happens is that students, everybody thinks that if they look closer and if they keep looking, they're just going to keep seeing the same thing. Or this feeling of, oh, it's just Charlie. Oh, it's just Chafee. It's just a classroom. Oh. Or it's just, oh yeah, I'm just going to keep seeing the same thing. It's not going to be, I won't discover anything new. As we know from science, the more they discover things, the more they realize they don't know, and they discover further things. And it's not like, oh, I know that already. No, they keep going, and everything just opens up. Same thing with seeing. And so I'll have them do a lot of looking exercises, and also our critiques are like this too. Well, you see something interesting, how come? Unpack that. Not just it's cool, but you'll give it like 4 or 5 reasons why it's cool. And what happens is it starts opening up. And the other thing that happens is that, and this is the way we perceive as children, until the mind starts to kick in and the left hemisphere takes over, is that a sense of fluidity starts to happen. That actually everything is not a noun. Everything is more verb. At some level, everything is fluid and changing. I'm talking and thinking, and I'm breathing, and my shirt's moving around. And if you look at dawn and dusk, things kind of move a little bit, and there's different levels of ringing in the ears and hearing, and it's just more fluid. And actually, this kind of seeing and this way of experiencing is far more alive, and um, corresponds more to what's really here. Um, Tying back into how to get ideas, there's just, you go into a flow state, which is that's the normal way things are, and we're just sort of cut off from it because of our culture and language. So anyway, I think that's in terms of advising and having a sort of a richer life and you know, not just culturally, but just walking around. Um, these are kinds of things that I talk about. Anyway, I don't know if any of this is helpful. I hope it was, and you found it a little bit interesting. Yeah, I get flex credit for this. Most important. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye bye.